On Tuesday, September 9th, 2025, the world witnessed an event that, well, redrew the map of Middle Eastern conflict. Israel launched a highly sophisticated and unprecedented airstrike deep inside Doha, the capital of Qatar. This operation, which Israel dubbed Summit of Fire, marked the first known Israeli military attack on a Gulf Arab state. The strike targeted the upscale West Bay Lagoon residential neighborhood, a district known for housing members of the Hamas political bureau who had been residing there for years. The assault sent shockwaves across the globe, not just for its audacity, but for its location. A nation that has positioned itself as a key mediator in the ongoing Gaza conflict. The operation was a complex military endeavor, reportedly months in the planning. According to reports, more than 10 Israeli fighter jets were involved in the long-range mission, requiring mid-air refueling to reach their destination and return. Upon reaching their target in Doha, the jets fired over 10 precision munitions at a single residential building, demonstrating a significant level of intelligence and operational capability. Qatar's prime minister later stated that the weapons used in the attack were advanced enough to go undetected by the country's radar systems, highlighting the stealthy and surprising nature of the assault on its sovereign territory. The precision of the strike was clear, but its consequences would prove to be far-reaching and complicated. The primary target of the operation was Khalil Al-Hayya, Hamas's chief negotiator and a senior figure in the organization's political leadership. However, Israeli officials later confirmed that Al-Hayya was not killed in the attack. The strike did result in 6 fatalities, including 5 Hamas members and 1 Qatari security official. Among the Hamas members killed were Al-Hayya's son and the director of his office. While Hamas quickly confirmed that its core negotiating delegation had not been assassinated, the deaths of key personnel and the very fact of the strike itself were intended to send a powerful message from Israel that no Hamas leader was safe, regardless of their location. The choice of Qatar as the location for this strike is what makes it so profoundly controversial. Qatar is a major non-NATO ally of the United States and hosts the largest American military base in the entire Middle East, Al Udeid Air Base, which is central to U.S. operations in the region. For years, with the tacit approval of both the U.S. and Israel, Qatar has served as a neutral ground for sensitive diplomatic talks, hosting the Hamas political office to facilitate communication and negotiation. By striking within Doha, Israel attacked a key partner in the very peace process it claimed to be pursuing, creating a diplomatic crisis with global implications. The international reaction to the strike was swift, widespread, and overwhelmingly negative. Governments across the world condemned the attack as a dangerous escalation. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres voiced his strong disapproval, a sentiment echoed by leaders in the United Kingdom, Canada, Turkey, and Japan. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney was particularly direct, stating that the attack directly imperils the fragile efforts to secure peace. The Palestinian Authority, based in the West Bank, denounced the assault as a serious violation of international law and Qatar's sovereignty, reflecting a broad consensus that Israel had crossed a significant line by extending its military operations into a neutral diplomatic hub. Qatar's response was one of outrage and defiance. Prime Minister Al-Thani immediately condemned the attack as an act of state terrorism and a cowardly criminal assault. He made it clear that Qatar viewed the strike as a direct betrayal, especially given its role as a mediator. Majed Al-Ansari, the spokesperson for Qatar's foreign ministry, flatly denied that his government had received any prior notification from Israel, contradicting any suggestion of complicity. Despite the shock and anger, the Prime Minister vowed that Qatar's diplomatic efforts to mediate a ceasefire and secure the release of hostages won't be deterred, signaling a commitment to continue its role despite the grave provocation on its own soil. The United States, as Qatar's main ally and Israel's most powerful supporter, found itself in an extremely awkward position. President Donald Trump sought to create distance between his administration and the Israeli operation. In a public statement, he remarked that he was not thrilled about the whole situation and noted that the United States was informed far too late to intervene. A U.S. official clarified that the notification came from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, not directly from Israel, and was received only shortly before the strike began. This detail underscored the independent nature of the Israeli decision and the lack of coordination with Washington. While the U.S. did not explicitly condemn the attack, its discomfort was palpable. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt walked a fine line, stating that attacking inside Qatar does not advance Israel or America's goals. However, she also added that the broader objective of eliminating Hamas remained a worthy goal. This dual messaging highlighted the complex balancing act the U.S. faces, supporting Israel's right to self-defense while trying to prevent a wider regional conflict and protect its relationship with critical Arab allies like Qatar. The incident exposed a clear rift in strategy and communication between the two close partners. The timing of the Ceasefire operation could not have been more damaging to the delicate diplomatic process underway. Sources familiar with the negotiations reported that ceasefire talks, mediated by Qatar and Egypt, had reached a critical and potentially promising point just before the attack. The strike was immediately seen by many involved as a deliberate attempt to sabotage this progress. A top Qatari diplomat did not mince words, stating that the strike was clearly designed to undermine the peace negotiations. The assault on the very city where negotiators were meeting cast a dark shadow over the future of any potential agreement, creating an atmosphere of deep mistrust. In the immediate aftermath, Hamas declared that the attack would not force it to change its core demands for a hostage deal. The group's position remained firm. Any agreement must include the release of Israeli hostages in exchange for a large number of Palestinian prisoners, a permanent and lasting ceasefire, and a complete withdrawal of all Israeli forces from the Gaza Strip. The strike, while killing some of its members, appeared to have hardened the organization's resolve rather than weakening it. The message from Hamas was that military pressure of this kind would not lead to concessions at the negotiating table, setting the stage for a continued stalemate. The attack seemed to have only deepened the chasm between the warring parties, making the prospect of a negotiated ceasefire and the safe return of hostages more remote than ever.